a new slant he's given us.
But what's happening now on Capitol Hill, more of those holdouts, those who would not even talk about impeachment because that seemed like such a risky move, particularly in an election season, are now kind of coming around to the idea. What's going on?
Well, what we've seen is a stream of at least 15 to 20 more Democrats, some of them from key swing state districts, now using slightly different language now to say that, well, they might support impeachment inquiry or impeachment if, and then ... the allegations against Trump misusing his powers against Ukraine to get a political rival, Biden, and that sort of language. Some of it's soft, some of it's harder than others. I just left Nancy Pelosi, who told us, about six of us, that there will be a major announcement shortly this afternoon. We don't know what it is, but there is talk about a special select committee possibly being created to look into the Ukraine matter, if not other matters as well.
And that would be an announcement that we should be watching for this afternoon?
Absolutely, because Pelosi will meet with the six chairmen of the investigative committees around 3 o'clock or so, and then later, 1 hour later, with the entire caucus. Now, the House leaves town on Friday for 2 weeks and does not come back till October 15th. So this flurry of activity is either genuine, real interest and concern and shifting by Democrats, or a desperate attempt to look like they've done something before they go home for 2 weeks.
Okay, and you know what? We're going to continue to watch that for you here on Bloomberg Radio. But in addition to that, and you've actually brought up a really great point. Why is it this issue? What has happened with this issue that has suddenly given this argument for impeachment, or at least an inquiry, so much juice so quickly?
That's a very good point you make, because we've sat through the Cohen hush money allegations. We've heard about the use of Trump properties by government outfits, entities, the Air Force. But why is this the precipice? Well, I think they believe that this whistleblower report that the Trump administration refuses to turn over will, in a more clear-cut way, show the American public something wrong, something that the Trump has done wrong. They're banking a lot on that whistleblower report, which they claim they still have not gotten, at least the contents of. So I think they think that this is something solid and something people can read and understand is wrong.
Let me ask you to clarify something, if I may. The whistleblower report and the transcript of that call with the Ukraine president, those are two different documents, correct?
They are.
So the transcript of the call, what are the odds we'll see that?
Well, House committees have asked both Secretary of State Pompeo and the White House for a copy of that transcript, and anybody who saw or had anything to do with that call, and there are people listening in. And the White House and State Department have blown off a Monday deadline to produce that material. Officially, nobody is saying that the whistleblower report relates to that call, but Democrats are acting as if they know it does.
And we only have about 20 seconds here. The whistleblower report itself, that's not going to be... That has to go through a subpoena process before it can surface. You got about 15 seconds here.
Yeah, all eyes are on Thursday's hearing with the acting Director of National Intelligence, John McGuire. He will be pressed by House Intelligence Committee to turn that thing over that day. We'll see what Democrats do then.
We are nowhere near the end of this yet. Thank you so much, Billy Howes, covering Congress for Bloomberg News. Much more still to come on Bloomberg Politics, Policy, Power, and Law. Going to take a look at the Democratic race for president and how Senator Elizabeth Warren's campaign for president might have just gotten a little bit harder. This is Bloomberg.
This is a Bloomberg Market Minute. U.S. stocks are edging lower after President Trump criticized China in a speech at the UN this morning. The Dow Jones Industrial Average falling 20 points to 26,932. S&P 500 down 6 points. The tech-heavy NASDAQ is down 54. West Texas Intermediate crude dropping 1.5%. Consumer confidence falls to a 3-month low. The Conference Board's index dropped as Americans took a dimmer view of the economy's prospects. The impact of the White House trade war in particular is a major concern. And Facebook is spending as much as $1 billion on a tech startup that's working on software to let people control electronics using their own thoughts. Control Labs uses a bracelet to measure neuron activity in a user's arm to determine movement that person is thinking about, even if they're not physically moving. Donna Wilson, Bloomberg Radio.
Hope you enjoyed your meal. And I just want to say, he's lucky to have a brother like you.
Lucky? Caring for my brother is far from easy. But he's a part of me, like my arms and legs, so I'll be his. No time for tired. Nothing can disable this love. He needs me, but I'm the lucky one, even though I need help now and then.
If you're caring for a loved one, visit aarp.org/caregiving for care guides and community support for your strength. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Are you interested in a challenging and exciting career? One where you can be part of solving complex challenges across industries and geographies? Bloomberg's ever-expanding technology, data, news, and media services foster innovation, empower clients, and offer nearly limitless opportunities for career growth. Visit Bloomberg.com/careers today to view our current job opportunities. Bloomberg LP is an equal opportunity employer. The address once again is Bloomberg.com/careers. In-depth analysis, concise reporting, need-to-know global business news. Around the world and across the markets, Bloomberg connects the dots for decision makers. Stay on top of today's headlines. Follow big breakthroughs in tech. Understand the latest political issues. See how the world's wealthiest are spending their money. Track what's happening in the markets, and much more. Subscribe today to Bloomberg, the global standard for business reporting. Get it all at Bloomberg.com/subscriptions.
To buy your home, you became a house hunting ace, learned about loans, scoured neighborhoods, and asked the right questions. Now you're queen of your castle. If you manage that, you can get your retirement plan on track. Visiting aceyourretirement.org can help. With 401k tips and smart saving strategies, you'll feel empowered to own your retirement like you own your home. Go to aceyourretirement.org. Because when it comes to clearing financial hurdles, you're an ace. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Why has J.D. Power ranked Commonwealth Financial Network #1 in independent advisor satisfaction among financial investment firms for the 6th straight time? We think it comes down to one thing: you. Because it's your input and feedback that keeps us focused on what's most important to you and your clients and continually pushes us to be the best we can be. Maybe that's why we receive top marks in every category of the J.D. Power 2019 Advisor Satisfaction Survey. They named us #1 in client support, #1 in firm leadership, #1 in operational support, #1 in compensation, #1 in professional development support, and #1 in technology support. Ready to partner with the best? Call Commonwealth at 866-462-3638 or visit commonwealth.com and feel the power. Member FINRA, a registered investment advisor. For 2019 J.D. Power Award information, visit jdpower.com/awards.
Have you wanted to speak a new language, but you thought it'd be too hard or take too much time? Then go to Babbel.com, download the app, and try it for free. In just 15 minutes a day, you'll be on your way to speaking a new language in just a few weeks. And right now, you can try Babbel for free. Babbel starts out teaching you words and phrases by matching them with pictures. You won't believe how easy the interactive program is. Soon the sentences get a little bigger, and before you know it, you're having simulated conversations voiced by native speakers. And because Babbel is crafted by language experts and uses the spaced repetition method, in just 10 to 15 minutes a day, you'll be speaking the language of your choice with real confidence. With Babbel, you can speak a language. Just go to Babbel.com and start your first lesson in the language of your choice for free. Download the Babbel app or go to Babbel.com and try it for free. That's Babbel.com.
Hi everyone, Al Roker here. As a guy with his own catchphrase, I appreciate that after 75 years, Smokey's only said,
"Only you can prevent wildfires."
But I'm filling in because there's a lot more to report. Like when it's dry or windy. Be careful burning yard waste, because wildfires can even start in your neck of the woods. Go to SmokeyBear.com to learn more about wildfire prevention. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Carol Masser, Jason Kelly, and Bloomberg Business Week.
What do you make of Bitcoin?
Who's doing it right from a sector perspective?
Better information for a better than great day. Weekday afternoons at 2 on Bloomberg 1130. Bloomberg, the world is listening. Broadcasting live from the Bloomberg Interactive Broker Studio in New York. Bloomberg 1130 to Washington, D.C. Bloomberg 99.1 to Boston. Bloomberg 106.1 to San Francisco. Bloomberg 960 to the country. Sirius XM Channel 119 and around the globe. The Bloomberg Business app and BloombergRadio.com. This is Politics, Policy, Power, and Law.
I'm Amy Morris. June Grasso joins us just a few minutes from now. This is crossing the Bloomberg terminal right now. Former Vice President Joe Biden is ready to back impeachment if President Trump does ignore that document request we were just telling you about. Also, Senator Elizabeth Warren may find her campaign is going to get a lot harder now that she is on top. Want to check the markets right now with Bloomberg's John Tucker.
Yeah, well, Amy, markets have turned lower. They were a little bit optimistic going into today's session, hoping the trade talks were being planned for next month would be a step forward. Then you had the president's speech at the United Nations General Assembly was a bit antagonistic towards the Chinese. At least that's how traders are interpreting it. BTIG Chief Equity and Derivative Strategist Julian Emanuel says President Trump knows he does have to make a trade deal soon.
We think that he's very incentivized to see a stronger economy.
Well, right now, S&P 500 headed for the third straight loss. Car makers and chip companies, chip makers leading declines right now. S&P 500 20 points lower. That's down 0.7%. We're at 2971. The Dow Jones Industrial Average 124 points lower. This is down 0.5% at 26,826. And the Nasdaq Composite Index 96 points lower. This is down now 1.2% at 8,015. Social media stocks also among the decliners there after Mr. Trump took aim at them during his UN General Assembly speech. And money is moving into treasuries. A safe haven bid there. The 10-year yield is down to 1.65%. And NYMEX crude is down $1.05 at 57.58. We check the markets for you every 15 minutes during the trading day right here on Bloomberg Radio. I'm John Tucker. And that is your Bloomberg Business Flash. Amy.
All right. Thank you, John. You know, Elizabeth Warren has been on a steady upward trajectory for 6 months now, raising big money from small donors, drawing huge crowds, and rising from also ran to now a top-tier candidate. And a new Iowa poll has her in first place, but this is actually going to make her more of a target. We are live with from the Bloomberg Interactive Broker Studio, and joining me now, let me get it out, Bloomberg Business Week national correspondent Josh Green joining us now by phone. It's going to bring us more on this developing story. Josh, thank you for taking the time. And before we launch into the latest on Elizabeth Warren, I do want to ask you a little bit about this Bloomberg headline that crossed the Bloomberg terminal, that Vice President or former Vice President Joe Biden is prepared to back an impeachment hearing if President Trump ignores that document request, the request for documents about that whistleblower case involving his phone call with the president of Ukraine. Any insight or any ideas of how that would work out and what that might do with Biden's popularity following?
Well, I think this isn't a surprise in the sense that clearly there's been a lot of momentum over the last week in the Democratic Party toward impeachment. A lot of frontline Democrats from moderate districts who'd held back have now come out en masse in advance of a meeting that Pelosi and House Democrats are holding today and said, enough. We need to move forward on impeachment. As far as the presidential field, Biden is actually a trailing indicator here. I was back with Elizabeth Warren in April when she became the first major presidential candidate to call for impeachment. We've since seen that from Sanders and Harris and others. So I think Biden is trying to get out here ahead of the Democrats meeting, get himself on record as saying, I support impeachment proceedings if Trump doesn't hand over these documents, and get himself to where the center of his party is, which is moving rapidly toward pursuing impeachment.
You know, the idea of impeachment was not that long ago considered progressive, if not radical. Now it seems to be catching on with the mainstream. Are we going to, especially now that Elizabeth Warren finds herself on top, are we going to see more of these ideas that perhaps were seen as a little bit way to the left becoming more mainstream?
Well, I think we've seen that happen already. I mean, Warren came out with a wealth tax at the beginning of her campaign, which was a radical idea. And yet, if you look at polls, both Democrats and Republicans support some version of this. It's no coincidence that Bernie Sanders came out with a new wealth tax proposal just today that's even bigger than Warren. So you can see this movement to the left. I think impeachment is a little bit different, however. This is focused clearly on Trump's behavior with Ukraine, trying to enlist a foreign power allegedly to investigate and tarnish one of his main presidential rivals. That becomes a constitutional issue. And if you look at it as Democrats are looking at it through the context of the Trump administration's refusal to testify and turn over documents, essentially negating Congress's oversight power, I think Democrats collectively have just said to themselves, enough. If Trump isn't going to follow the law, we're going to have to move ahead with these proceedings.
Now, you have written about this and what's going on with Senator Warren, and you write that her rise in the polls may be because of her discipline, that she doesn't get dragged into those frivolous debates. Is she going to be able to maintain that?
Well, it's an interesting question. I think the signs are good. I mean, my piece about Warren was pointing out that she has had basically an uninterrupted 6-month string of success. If you go back 6, 8, 9 months, Warren was in single digits. She was being dogged by questions about her Native American heritage. And yet over the last 6 months, culminating with a recent Iowa poll, she's really had nothing but good news, has risen to front-runner status in Iowa, and now in a new Monmouth poll of New Hampshire, just out within the last hour, Warren has taken over the lead from Joe Biden there, too. Now, as I write in the piece, that makes her a target for a lot of Democrats who recognize, hey, I've got to slow her momentum down if I want to stay in the top tier, if I want to get back into the conversation. We've also seen Wall Street analysts begin to raise alarms about Warren and what a Warren presidency might herald for the stock market. But in the context of now this huge national discussion over corruption and worries about Joe Biden and his son's relationship in Ukraine, Warren is somebody who has campaigned on an anti-corruption agenda from the get-go. It's hard for me to see how in the short term this would slow Warren down at all. I think it might actually help her continue to extend that momentum further.
And Josh, in the minute we have left, while people say she has run a near perfect campaign and she just keeps going up, that means she's going to be under a lot more scrutiny, even more scrutiny and more attacks. Talk a little bit about that, about what she is facing from here on out. It's hard to believe it's going to get harder.
Well, when Warren was back in the second tier, polling in the single digits, not a lot of people, there was no real incentive for rivals or even the media necessarily to apply a whole lot of scrutiny to her plans because it didn't look very likely that she'd wind up being the nominee. Now, that is different, and you're seeing already intense scrutiny to Warren policies, in particular her Medicare for All plan, and the question of would that raise taxes for middle-class taxpayers? It would, but Warren so far hasn't been willing to say so. She's instead argued that it would lower overall health care costs. But this has been an issue in debates. This is an issue when she appeared on Stephen Colbert's show. I think the media and her rivals have sniffed out the fact that this is a potentially politically problematic for Warren. I think you're going to see a lot more pressure for her to answer on these and other issues that could be, very controversial were she to become the Democratic nominee and try to oppose them.
All right, Josh Green, national correspondent for Bloomberg Business. We got to leave it there. Let's check the latest world and national headlines with Bloomberg's Bob Moon.
Amy, talk of impeaching President Trump is getting a big boost in a preview of campaign remarks set to be delivered today by Democratic presidential frontrunner Joe Biden. The former vice president says he'll back impeachment if Trump doesn't comply with a congressional demand for documents on his communications with Ukraine's new president. Trump capped his speech to the United Nations General Assembly today with a message to world leaders on the importance of dignity. He spoke against globalism, and after declaring that he would always put America first, he closed by telling the other gathered leaders to do the same with their own countries.
Honor the dignity of your people, and nothing will be outside of your reach.
Trump said he hoped for a good working relationship with all countries, even those considered to be enemies at this time, including Iran, which he called the world's #1 terrorist, and China, whose trade policies, he blasted. What's next for the UK? Prime Minister Boris Johnson says he disagrees with but respects today's decision from Britain's Supreme Court. It ruled that Johnson acted unlawfully when he asked the Queen to suspend Parliament in the weeks leading up to the Brexit deadline. Johnson is currently in New York City attending the UN General Assembly.
I strongly disagree with this judgment, and we in the UK will not be deterred from getting on and delivering on the will of the people to come out of the EU on October the 31st.
The UK Parliament now has to get back to work trying to secure a deal before the Brexit deadline or asking the EU for an extension. Global news 24 hours a day on air and at TikTok, on Twitter. I'm Bob Moon.
Robert Cohen holds 3 degrees from New Jersey Institute of Technology. Today, he leads research and development for medical device maker Stryker Corporation. He also helps Stryker recruit top talent from universities like NJIT.
If you look at where NJIT students are going, go to a career fair. There are lines of companies that want to get into the career fair, and it's because they see those students as practical, innovative. I can tell you for a fact, because we hire many NJIT graduates, these students can contribute right from the get-go. The guy who reports to me, who's in charge of all my implant development, NJIT grad. The guy who reports to me in charge of all my robotics development, NJIT grad. They contribute to the development cycle. They contribute to the testing. We have NJIT graduates in manufacturing. We have NJIT graduates in quality assurance. We have NJIT graduates in our computer science. These students are some of our best.
NJIT, New Jersey Institute of Technology. Learn more at storiesofinnovation.njit.edu.
Rich is just a really good guy. The term good egg isn't enough to describe him. He's also certified organic and free range. Rich puts the cap back on everything. The toothpaste, the olive oil, the shampoo, everything. He lets his 10-year-old nephew beat him at virtual tennis, even though he can straight up slay his 10-year-old nephew in virtual tennis. When the toilet paper is running low, Rich replaces the roll on the actual holder, not just on the back of the toilet. Rich is texting and driving. Rich, no. What are you doing, Rich? I was just telling everyone how great you are. Texting and driving makes good people look bad. Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
The market.
1 in 2 people believe they should check their work email on holiday. 1 in 3 believe it's okay to eat a colleague's lunch. And 1 in 14 believe it's okay to steal loo roll from work. People believe all sorts of strange things. Some people believe that insurance companies try to avoid paying claims. But last year, Zurich paid 99% of insurance claims made by their UK customers. Zurich, an insurance company you can believe in. To find out more, visit zurich.co.uk/99.
To succeed in small business, you need technology that runs efficiently. When you partner with a Dell Small Business Technology Advisor, you get advice, one-on-one partnership, and tailored productivity solutions, including computers with Intel Core processors, servers, storage, networking, plus industry-leading monitors and accessories. It's how they help your small business make the most of every minute. To speak with an advisor today, call 0800 085 4878. That's 0800 085 4878.
Jamie Theakston and Amanda Holden.
On breakfast. Tom Hanks is our special guest.
You're either being punished or rewarded. I'll let you decide.
I did do a whole show of grease on my front lawn when I was a kid. We charged everyone 10p. We raised a fiver and I gave it to Bishop's Waltham Gymnastics Club towards a new crash mat.
Do they get the crash mat?
I mean, it took a couple more years, but yeah.
It does happen to normal people like you. You've won £20,000. Well done.
I love this game.
Hot Breakfast
with Jamie Theakston and Amanda Holden. Weekdays from 6:30. Listen on your radio, global player, or smart speaker.
Play Heart.
Rescue stressed, irritated skin with Estee Lauder's newest innovation, Advanced Night Repair Intense Reset Concentrate. Rescue and reset the look of skin with SOS technology. Skin feels instantly calmed, soothed and strengthened, revealing a more radiant, smooth and rested look. Face life head-on with Estee Lauder's new Advanced Night Repair Intense Reset Concentrate. Why not try it for yourself? Head to your nearest Estee Lauder counter for a free SOS mini facial.
Mate, this van's suspension is rubbish.
Tell me about it.
Oh, even the radio's had it.
I know, but I'd get nothing if I scrapped it.
No, you can get at least £2,000 off a new Ford for it.
You're kidding?
He's not. With Ford's new for old scrappage scheme, you can get between £2,000 and £6,750 off a new Ford van, plus 0% APR representative on Ford Acquire, if you scrap an eligible vehicle with us responsibly. Ford Commercial Vehicles, backbone of Britain. Search Ford Scrappage. Exclusions apply. Contract by 30th of September and registered by 31st of December 2019 at participating dealers. Age and ownership criteria apply to scrappage vehicles subject to status. Free post for credit. Deposit restrictions apply.
Get smart, get savvy and get saving this month at Tesco Mobile with some of our best ever prices on the latest phones. Like the Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus, now only $34.49 a month. A huge saving of £144. It's just one of the ways we're celebrating 100 years of great value. Go in store or search Tesco Mobile. Tesco Mobile. Every little helps.
Ends 29th of September. S10 Plus savings based on £4 per month. 36-month credit agreement, 24-month usage agreement. Subject to status. Phase policy apply. See tescomobile.com/terms.
Should we go hard?